Good morning. This has been a great session. I have enjoyed very much listening to all these places and have been writing ideas on the sides of my papers as I go through. We are presenting about our work towards stronger support for career and technical education. I'm Janice Henderson, and also with me is Rhonda Trueman. We are the entire full-time librarian staff at Northwest Florida State College. And we got together and started talking about the need to really enhance the things that we were doing for career and technical education. Just getting the materials wasn't enough. We needed to have more interaction with them. And we liked this quote. We wanted to contribute to a positive and enriching learning environment. We wanted career and technical education to be a part of what we were doing. And so we wanted to strengthen that engagement. We had the goal to expand the use of those library resources and services. And you see here an info guide for welding. That's one of the things that we worked on right away, and I'll tell you more about that as we go. We found that our first objective was actually greater support for student success by finding a way to get them to use our library resources more in the career and technical education field, or the CTE area.
And the second objective is to support faculty with an emphasis on soft skills and workforce skills. And this quote from Amy Edmondson, professor of leadership and management at Harvard, explains why that's important, because the soft skills are the hard skills. People who master the critical leadership skills today are anything but touchy-feely. They're direct, they're clear, they're compassionate, they're no nonsense, but they're not soft.
So Rhonda, excuse me, it's very difficult to hear you. I had to turn my volume completely up. I don't know if you can speak louder, speak more into the mic, raise your volume in some way.
Okay, these are two info guides. That's the same thing as LibGuides. We just call them info guides here because we use them for more than just library information. They're part of the same LibGuide or info guide. The tabs here talk about the soft skills like attitude, communications, critical thinking, leadership, teamwork, work ethic, and then the final tab is on job search skills.
Okay, so once we decided that we were going to collaborate with the, keep going past it, once we decided that we were going to collaborate with the CTE faculty, we started, and actually that was me mostly, started attending the CTE department meetings. And those department meetings were a wealth of information for us, because we found, and I'll take you to the next slide and you can see, we found that they told us a lot about what was going on in those particular departments. And the welding department had some particular things that were happening. That Scotty Smith was named the 2018 Teacher of the Year by the Welder magazine. And then the college itself was named a top educational institution, a small-sized institution from welding, and so we got those two awards. And the college began to seek this ability to be an accredited test facility designation. You can see there from the article that we actually achieved that. But the thing that our welding department needed in order to to achieve that was to get a this American Welding Society Code and Standards Library database. They had some money, but not enough to get it. And so we contributed to that, and we asked them if we couldn't put it in our database list, make it that way easy for the faculty and staff to get to, not just on campus at a few computers in the area where they would load it, but so the students could get to it from home. And so we began that collaborative process. That once we got the standard library in, and as a matter of fact, it is in our list of databases through FALSI. We brought the welding faculty and staff over so that we could teach them how, because they had never logged in to our databases before. So we taught them how to log in and how to get to their basic AWS codes and standards library, how to navigate like you would normally in a database. And then they worked on the specialized content. I also took the opportunity to demonstrate for them how to use Films on Demand, and they got very excited because there is a wealth of welding videos within Films on Demand, and they were excited to be able to see resources that they weren't used to. So then we began to collaborate with them on other resources, and in particular, what they needed to be able to develop a job research project, which would be mostly in that soft skills area. So then we began to work with them on really what was a true instruction opportunity between their plans and our plans, and we started talking to them about teaching the students about the AWS database, other library databases like Films on Demand that they might want to use, and the support for their job research capstone, ending up a plan for doing 2 sessions at least in the library. And then we created an info guide for welding. We focused it on that code and standards library, and we added one section of it that also is for the soft skills. And so as you see, our LibGuide covers those codes and standards, and then it has that section on career resources, which was their job research project. In our first session, library instruction with the students, we focused on learning what they had to know to accomplish their assignment in the AWS codes and standards database. So they had an assignment there, and we focused on that. But again, just like I had done with the faculty, I took the opportunity to show them videos that were available in Films on Demand and how to get to it. And that engaged them in wanting to find and use other library resources. They were very intrigued about the ability to go in and watch things that they were learning happening in other situations. This is the email from Scotty when we were working on the capstone research project, and he says that you and the LRC staff have been very helpful in guiding our welding students during their research. We also began to work with them on all the parts of that research that they were having to do on job skills, and that brings us to our second session. And Rhonda? Okay, I'm not hearing Rhonda. Okay, so, here you go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this part. So she started out teaching them about the job resources and searching in general, and some of the general databases that were some of the general sites that are available to help them with their job search, like Indeed. And we tried to use also the specific AWS jobwelding.com and showed them how to get to contractors like AmeriForce and different conferences so that they would know about networking. We talked about some of the big companies that are in the area, GE, Caterpillar, Aerotech, and showed them how to do that job hunt. Then she talked to him a bit about resources for resume. Rhonda did this session, and she talked to him about resources for resume, about cover letters, follow-up interviews, travel, and hotel, because what they were going to have to do is follow a job all the way through all those pieces, and then do a presentation on what they had learned about that job and that process. Okay. I'm supposed to be going, yeah. All right, and there's the assignment. So this is all the things that they had to discover about each job, and that they had to then eventually do a presentation on. Rhonda gave them some very good tips, and one of them is the standard one that we try to give students whenever we're telling them about dealing with a potential employer, and that's that your email address needs to sound like you are a good applicant for that position, not necessarily just a good date. So we tell them to forget the cutesy names and go with a good version of your correct name so that they can get back in touch with you. Oh, yeah, exactly, Alexis, not hot mama at Hotmail. Yeah. At the end of our first session, they were so happy with the work that we had done with them that they took pictures of the students and sent the pictures to our strategic communications department for them to use in marketing the program, to talk about the fact that they weren't just learning how to weld, that they were also learning how to be good students in college. After the second session, the welding professor was very excited to report to that big CTE committee meeting the success of all their trips to the library, and they encouraged, and he did a little bid for them all to try and participate with us. And so now we have 2 new CT areas that are working with us to develop library instruction. And those are in areas specific to dental assisting and graphic design. And obviously, we are hoping in this situation that we can come up with 2 or 3 really good databases to work in each of the areas that we can teach the students about those resources. And then work with those departments again, probably about some of the soft skills, because that's an emphasis college-wide for our CTE departments, that they start thinking about those soft skills. We've had a great time with this, and one of the joys, of course, was that in our early collaboration, being able to help them get the database was one of the things that led them to be able to be an accredited testing location. And that continues to be one of the things that we enjoy working with them on. I'm going to here you go. Here's the pictures of the students in our, the welding students in our class learning about the library, and you see them being able to look at a LibGuide and then at some of the other resources that we've gone to in the database. It was fun to see them know that they had to pay attention to get their work done, and then get excited about what we had available to them. And we do we sometimes recommend, I see in the chat, that we sometimes recommend that they use their school email. However, school email does not go indefinitely past their time as a student. So that's not necessarily the email that you want to give an employer that might be trying to contact you, 6, 8 months, a year after they've left the school. Okay, and we're really happy here at the Susan Myers Learning Resources Center to be able to talk to you about this. I'm Janice Henderson, and I've given you a email and phone number, and Rhonda Trueman, her email and phone number, and we're happy to talk to you about what we're doing with the career and technical ed. It has been a very fulfilling thing. We actually are in the situation where we feel like we are contributing just the way we wanted to a positive and enriching learning environment. And we have gotten to advance that objective of actually getting some of our CTE students in using the library resources that we purchase for them. And that's really that is really our presentation. So I'm happy to answer questions, but that I don't have anything else that I felt like we needed to tell you today.